See if we get one. We'll get one of these guys to eat. There we go. Hey, I'm Josh Miller. Welcome to fishing with me today on the stream. I live in Pennsylvania. I get to fish some of these beautiful limestone spring creeks of central Pennsylvania. It's awesome, beautiful out here. We got some nice wild trout. I am a foaling mill designer. You can purchase some of my flies through the website. I'm a full-time guide, the head coach of the United States youth team, and other various random fly fishing facts. And I just love fly fishing. Hope you enjoy. So some of the flies you can purchase through Foaling Mill are patterns that I tie are the +1 has a light and a dark variation. It's great for mayflies. I'm just searching. It's more of a all-around pattern. The dark for maybe darker nymphs and the lights for just lighter nymphs. There's also a sulphur nymph, the one we call the zone stone, and I have a new one, the Clueless Caddis. It's really great for especially like Euro dry dropper. I love fishing Euro dry dropper. Having a fly that is tied with enough material to suspend some pretty heavy nymphs can be really key at times. So that's a great fly to the arsenal. I hope you enjoy. Before I even tie a fly on, I always go to the stream and just observe. I might want to fish a certain technique, but I get there and see something else where I might change on the go. So, you know, I always have a plan of a start, but I never know what I'm going to do or maybe how deep I'm going to fish or weight. I always look at the stream first before I tie my fly on. Where the fish are going to be is water temperature dependent and bug life dependent. And with our technique, I'm just kind of testing the water. I might pick a section. It might not be maybe something that I try to pick a section that has multiple different water types. And I just test. I believe in my technique. I believe in my flies. And I'll just kind of test areas to try to find fish kind of as I work upstream. So to me, when I walk up, having connection and both tippet length and weight of the fly is important. I'm going to start with a kind of a lighter fly. There's a lot of skinny water through here. Just going to fish a single fly on a fairly short amount of tippet. I'm going to kind of alternate between a slack technique, having more of the sighter on the water, and then maybe more of a connection with a vertical technique, depending on the water type and how I'm feeling for the stretch I'm fishing. I just got up to an area I feel pretty confident in. We're just starting here, and I know there should be fish there. I'm going to grease my leader, make sure it's riding really nice and high, because the glare is pretty bad in the stream today. I don't know with the sun or whatever it is, but the glare is hard. It's a little challenging to see, so I want my leader to ride nice and high on the surface. Get some wax. Really put that wax on the knots, because that's really where the surface area really grabs that. Okay. And I'm just going to slowly pick the stream apart on the sides. Oh, there's a bite, missed that one. Try to kind of grid it and fish all the different lanes. Because these fish, sometimes I think the fish will sit in really a particular lane and maybe not move out of that lane. So it might be important to get, you know, fish, kind of grid it all off to see where these fish could be sitting. Let's try right in this fast water here first. Going to be somebody in here, I bet. There he is. Beautiful little fish here. Try not to even pretty little wild brown. See if there's any bigger ones in here. Oh man, so fast, so fast. I love it. So when I miss a fish, I don't cast back in that area. Try to let them rest a little bit. Maybe try the other side for a few minutes. Let that fish, oh, there's another bite. Let that fish relax. Hopefully forget about my fly. Maybe eat it on the next drift. Yeah. Oh man, so fast. Love it. Even on like these little spots like this, you know, I notice on this stream particularly, it gets a lot of pressure. And you know, when people walk in, I just notice fish spook all the time. Even these close spots, we might be too close already now at this point, but you know, I try not to neglect at least one cast in any potential spot. For me, what I look at, because most of the stream doesn't have a lot of depth, what I try to look for is water that I can, obviously you can see the bottom, but you can't quite discern what the bottom is. Any places like that, there's a good chance there's going to be fish. But instead of like casting, you know, a ton of times in each spot, I'd rather cast one accurate cast with intention. To me, intention is important. You know, with that precision, intention, with accuracy in each spot, instead of just kind of flogging the water and just casting randomly. I always try to pick a spot and make a cast. I like to turn my body, set my vision on a spot, square my body to that spot, then make my cast. Instead of kind of looking where you're going, looking around, just making a cast, I try to just be very intentional with everything I do. This water looks juicy up here. Let's see if there's any fish. There's a fish. All right. Let's see if we can get that. Man, maybe I should be fishing some dry dropper. We catch that fish. Deny. Got eaten right away. Didn't even set on that one. So fast. Oh gosh, yeah, instantly. Ate right there. 2 bites. So fast. I know, it makes it so neat. You see those bites? Like lightning. No, just 2. I think my fly might be too big. I gotta downsize. Especially for that one that rose, he didn't eat. It was just kind of weird. I'm gonna downsize my fly. Fish. I know there's fish maybe eating or moving around. My first change would be weight or size. I'm gonna go a little bit smaller with my pattern. Yeah, in this situation, I'm going to switch to the same weighted fly, just a little smaller profile. It's the same fly, but just a little smaller. The bead size I'm fishing is a 2.4 millimeter right now with 7X. My leader for not just when I'm fishing small streams, but I like to fish a leader that is light enough where I feel like I can do contact nymphing techniques, plus I could do floating the sighter. The sighter's a little bit lightweight to suspend for a long time, but a lot of this is really skinny. So my cast, kind of call like the frisbee or the tip cast, I use a very low rod angle with a little bit of movement and then a flick. It's like tension throughout the cast. So my flies are connected tight behind me. What happens, that little bit of movement helps to lift the flies to the surface. And when they're at the surface, a little flick projects those flies with very little movement. And if you stop quickly without moving your rod too far, it helps to set your drift up very quickly to be connected when you're tight lining or doing floating the sighter. Especially in skinny water like this, it's very common I see anglers where their flies might sweep underneath their sighter very quickly and lose connection, thus not seeing the bite or missing a fish. So to gain connection quickly, especially in fast water, and this is kind of shallow, you know, if it was a little bit deeper, it'd be even more important. You can stop your rod a little early, move your rod tip almost before the flies even hit the water at the same speed, So when your sighter and flies enter the water, you're connected right away. So short cast, immediately moving, immediately into my drift. So yesterday when I was fishing, I was kind of alternating between floating the sighter and more of a tighter technique. And I was noticing with how shallow everything is, I didn't have very much distance between my fly and my sighter. And within that skinny water, being tight on it, being tight line, those fish, I would see the bite, try to give them a little bit of slack, but they'd eat it so fast and they'd feel me and they'd let go so quick. And then if floating the sighter would give them a little bit of slack and they'd hold on to it like substantially longer. There's some times where they'd eat it and I'd see them and almost wait like one Mississippi and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're still on there. With that little bit of, there's connection and you can detect the bite, but there's no tension, or at least not too much between me and that fish and it didn't feel me. Whereas when I was tight with it, with the tight line, I would feel them almost simultaneously with how short I'm fishing. So you can get away with maybe giving them a little bit of slack with a little bit longer tippet or lighter fly. But in this situation, that's what I was doing. And I was missing a little bit more being tight with versus floating the sighter. So let's see if we can get some fish up in this here, doing some floating. So when I enter a spot like this, especially when guiding or whatever, I try, this is like the barrier right here. If I can fish from this area, I'm not gonna spook them near as much as when I step into their home. So I would try to always use any sort of structure or anything to break the sound of me getting as close as I possibly can to them. But I'm gonna come around here and try to fish more straight upstream, but using this as a barrier for my approach. Rainbow. We got a fighter. Got a rainbow. Look at it go! Crazy. They're so pretty, these fish, though. So when I'm fishing, we call like kind of an overhead or a lob or a quarter cast, I'll stop kind of high too, like right here. Let the leader turn over. It makes quick connection. So shallow, I don't want to like, get the fly too deep too fast. And I want it to go slow, and I want to have connection. Uh-oh. Woo! Almost shot him to trout space. Is this good? This is when I play drums. And you can add that too if you want.